Very good morning, cadets. Hope you are doing well. Compared to the initial days, I think maybe it's due to certain issues, maybe signal or poor net connection. The number of cadets who are watching video is reduced. I hope you will watch videos, even though I am now taking activity of briefly introducing the topics. Still, it's very important that please don't break the rhythm of studies. It's very important to keep yourself in the track of academics. Chapter number 7, of course this is not 8, I told you, because of the change of textbook and deleting of chapter number 6, that is colonialism in the city. This is chapter number 7, civilizing native and educating nation. Cadets, see the name of the chapter, civilizing natives and educating the nation. The name, the topic, you see how the British administration projected themselves as the most civilized society. That means the European world projected that they are the most civilized. So since they are the flag bearers of civilization, so it is the responsibility of Europeans to civilize whom? Civilize natives. Natives means, here the reference native means Indians. And not only that, so British projected themselves as they are the people who are educating nation. Educating nation means educating India. So this is the reason why the Indian history, whenever we study Indian history, the achievements of Indian history or the kings who belongs to India is not projected when it compared with the British. That's why today we are attracted towards Western education, Western dresses, that is Western culture, Western food habits, and we always feel that West is highly civilized than the East or than the Asia. Why our mindset is like that? Because it is projected like that by the British government. Now you see, the chapter explains that how were Indians to be educated, civilized and made into what the British believed were good subjects. So what is the achievement of the British? British wanted to make Indians educated, civilized and good subjects, not the good citizens. Now try to understand, there's a difference between subjects and citizens. Subjects means those who are means the people who are ruled under an empire, they are called as subjects. So when we say subjects, they have limited freedom, whereas citizen means a person who really enjoys all the rights. Today we are not subjects, today we are the citizens of this great country, but the British wanted to make Indians as subjects. So in this chapter we discuss about linguistic, the local language, how the local language was controlled or snubbed by the British, government. And in this chapter we are also discussing about how British saw Indian education system. Means what today you are undergoing, that defined syllabus, examination, timetable, syllabus, textbook. This is a pattern of examination introduced by the British East India Company. So when British East India Company, they got the Diwani of Bengal in the year 1765, slowly they started interfere in the education system in India. So they felt that Indian education system should be changed. So there is an argument about Orientalism. Okay, what is Oriental? Oriental and Occidental culture. The tradition of Orientalism. So, Orientalism. Who started about this, the studies? That is William Jones. William Jones in the year 1783 was appointed as a junior judge in the Supreme Court, and he was a linguist, means he had a knowledge of several languages such as the Greek, Latin, Oxford, French and English. So William Jones was a linguist because he was expert in Greek, Latin, Oxford, Latin, French and English language, and he also picked up Arabic from his friend, and later he learned the Persian language at Calcutta. Now what is the use of learning several languages? The use of learning several languages, that when you understand several language, then definitely you can understand the depth of the culture of that particular country. That is the plus point of knowing several. Henry Thomas Colebrook and responsible for establishment of Asiatic Society. Asiatic Society published Asiatic Research Journal. Even today the Asiatic Society, they got a largest collection of Asian literature or Indian literature. Further, in this chapter we are also discussing about Indian education system in those days. In India we had the system of Gurukul education. Okay, so system of Gurukul education, where the ward or a child asked to visit the house of Guru or the teacher, and whatever the teacher explains or teach, that is the syllabus. Means there is no defined syllabus, timetable, examinations. So this system of education, or the education of the system of education where the ward is going to teacher, was not accepted by the British. So now among the British also there were few officers who were in favor of Indian culture. Those who were called Orientalist, means those who had a knowledge of language and culture of Asia. Those who had a knowledge of language and culture of Asia, they are called as Orientalist. So Orientalist are those who had a respect for Indian language and culture. So, but there were few officers who always believed that in the East or in the Asia, there is nothing to learn. They defined it as grave errors of East, because they felt that they criticized the Orientalist vision of learning. They said that knowledge of East is full of errors and unscientific thought. Means there was another set of group of officers in the East India Company. They felt that in India nothing means Indian education system, there is nothing to learn. It is totally unscientific. It is totally unscientific. Not only unscientific, it is the complete knowledge of East is full of error. That is what they said. So it was wrong, and they argued that it was a wrong on the part of British to spend much effort on encouraging study of Arabic and Sanskrit language. So cadets, what this entire chapter explains that there were two set of officers in English East India Company in those days. One set of officers who had a knowledge, they were the linguists, they had a knowledge of East or Asian culture. They felt that there is lot things to learn from Asian culture and language. To study about Asian culture and language, it's very important to study Arabic and Sanskrit language and literature. But there is yet another group of officers who strongly argued that study of East or Asian culture, it is futile or it's waste, because it is full of errors, it is full of unscientific thought. Hope you remember the names of James Mill, name of James Mill, because James Mill, in the chapter number 1 we discussed, he is a person who wrote a book, History of British India. In his History of British India, he explained that Indian history may be divided into Hindu, Muslim and the British period, and only the British period considered as sign of civilization. So chapter, of course, in depth study with the lot of arguments of British officers. One such officer was Babington Macaulay. Babington Macaulay had the audacity to explain that a single shelf of good European library was worth of whole native literature of India and Arabia. So what Babington Macaulay said that if you go and visit European library, in the European library, out of book racks, in one single shelf of books in the European library, even that is not equal to the entire literature of India and Arabia. That is what the level of criticism Babington Macaulay had on Indian or Asian culture. So that is the level of criticism the British had over the Indian culture. Let us try to understand why the British projected this. British projected this because they wanted to justify their rule in India. They wanted to justify the introduction of English education in India. They wanted to justify the exploitation which they are doing on India. So that is what today we are all in a technological world where we can understand the culture as well as the rich heritage of India, whereas the Western or the English culture, it is very less when compared to Asian or Indian culture. Anyhow, it's point of discussion, but try to understand how much British try to justify their rule, especially people like Babington Macaulay. Macaulay said that there is a need to teach English language, and he felt that knowledge of English would allow Indians to read some finest literature the world has produced. That is the level he argued in favor of English education. So in this chapter we are also going to study about how the British introduced schooling system in India. That is what, when the British introduced schooling system in India, the local schools or the, which I told you, Gurukuls, they all got affected very badly. And what happened to the local schools? Many local schools, they were asked to take the grant from the British and support the English education. So Indian schools those days, they were called as Pathshalas. Okay, so Pathshalas. So William Adam, a Scottish missionary, toured the district of Bengal and Bihar, and he asked to submit a report on education in vernacular or local schools, which were called as Pathshalas. So Indian system of education was so flexible that there is no timetable, there is no time period, there is no examination. It is all decided by the Guru. So this system was changed by the British by introducing new routines, new rules. According to the new routines and new rules, now the British made the major change in education system. What the major change? A regular timetable, teaching based on the textbook, then system of annual examination and regular fee, attendance is regular, and the student will come and sit in a fixed seat and obey the rule and discipline. So cadets, what today we are doing, that is timetable, report, attendance, fees, fixed place to sit, obeying the rule of discipline, all these things were introduced by the British, and because British wanted to streamline Indian education system or the schooling system. But you see, nearly 400 years now, for almost 300 plus years, we believed that the schooling system is like that. But you see, the disease corona or the now COVID, this changed the entire scenario of the school, where today the schooling is taken completely technological revolution, where you are all sitting in your respective homes and we are teaching you through online mode. So why this change? This change is only because of the some unprecedented or some unaccepted progress or the development which is taken place because of the pandemic. Anyhow, chapter is very interesting because in this chapter we are going to study about how the British enslaved us. This is very interesting. English education has enslaved us. So English education definitely made us good slaves. What those days leaders had done, Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, they were totally against the system of British education. Gandhiji said that the Western education destroyed our culture. He always felt that Western education could help Indians only for development of brain, not the heart. So Gandhiji wanted a education that could help Indians to recover the sense of dignity and self-respect. So Gandhiji was against the system of education introduced by the British. Same with the case of Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore always felt that children should study in an open atmosphere. That is what Shantiniketan concept of Rabindranath Tagore, very fantastic idea, where there is no boundary, there is no walls, because that is what he said, that where the mind is free, then only the creative learning take place. So several Indian leaders, they were too much against the system of education. So the chapter civilizing natives and educating the nation is a very interesting chapter, and this chapter definitely help us to understand how the British justified their rule in India, even though the rule was totally against the system of ethics and morality, because they controlled us only for their selfish benefits. So detail of this chapter definitely will learn when I am teaching this chapter, maybe offline or online mode. Thank you. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much.